It's a little more my style to talk to a person one-on-one and get feedback and really have a conversation. Talk with the camera like this is a little goofy. I'm going to retell a story I told earlier tonight to a guy. He's a smart guy, he understands cars, in the Detroit area, Michigan, a lot of car people, a lot of engineers, a lot of people really have an understanding of cars. So this story here is the Torsen torque sensing limited slip differential. All right, so the Mustang in question here has been in my family since 1969. Hopefully there's a video down below you can click on that will let you hear the backstory on this. And I knew that someday I'd get the car. And I had different dreams, fantasies, desires, if you will, things I wanted to do. One of them was I noticed in a Popular Science, maybe it's Popular Mechanics magazine, it might have been about in my early 20s. And it was a type of a limited slip differential. Now, the reason something like this is needed a differential in the first place, the back of a car, if you picture driving through water and then driving in a circle in a parking lot, and then looking at it, you'll see that there's two radiuses, two radii, two circles. There's one made by the inner two tires, front and rear, and then there's a circle made by the outer two tires. And what this means is that the tires of a vehicle turning, you have to turn at different speeds for it to turn. Otherwise, with not having a difference in speed, you're going to have a friction or chirping, rubbing of the tires. So a car has a mechanism to get around this. Okay, that's great. But when you want to drive fast, when you have a classic old car, and you want to accelerate quickly to the speed limit, and not over, and I said that was as sincere as possible, you want both tires to make sure that they're going to dig in, that they're going to have traction, that they're going to stick. So the technologies to do this have been varied, and there's some that are inherently lacking in efficiency. A person looking at one of these traditional, the words are eluding me right now, Detroit Locker is a company, we're going to get to that, but they would call it a Chevrolet called limited slip positraction. There we go. That's a trademark term, positraction, and that has a friction plate in order to maintain the normal speed between the tires, and if they're going to be thrown off, like being in a turn, that friction plate will slide. So your maximum traction is determined by that friction plate, and also the smoothness of making turns is also determined by the tightness of that friction plate. And it's not really a great idea, it's not really a great way to go. And that's the type of thing that would have been in this car from the factory. Well, I saw this article in the magazine, and it talked about what's called a Torsen, T-O-R-S-E-N, torque sensing, a registered trademark of some kind. Limited slip differential, working through the beauty of the fact that a worm gear, which looks like a spiral, can drive a ring gear, but a ring gear can't in turn drive that spiral gear, that worm gear. Okay, so because that means torque goes in one direction, and then beyond that I can't really explain it. I could sound all smart and stuff, and I have certain areas of expertise, but that's about as far as this goes. But I saw that the beauty of that it made a lot of sense, that it got around the friction plate problem of the positraction and the other ways of doing this. And so I dreamed about it. I knew for 20 years, because I restored the car in about 1998, 1999, and had the big restoration. And I'd probably seen that as early as 1980, so almost 20 years. I knew that would go, one of those would go in the car. Well, I was at the Engine Rebuilder, a place that was a Ford Motorsport dealer, and that Ford Motorsports is the Ford Performance Parts, like division, you could call it. I'm looking through the catalog, and any patents on this thing is expired. It's more than 17 years, and I see it says Detroit Locker Torsen style limited slip differential. I'm like, well, kick ass. This is the very thing. I'm like, I want it. And, it was making money at the time. And it was about $458, something like that. And which is a pretty reasonable price for a pig, for the inner part of a differential. I bought gears, and I think I went with the same gear ratio that was factory in the car. I don't remember at the moment. But the beauty of this story is, okay, waiting 20 years to put this in the car, Torsen limited slip differential, it worked like a charm. It worked just as beautifully as you should hope. When you go to take off with the car, both tires dig in. A really cool thing, of course on a test track with lots of orange pylons and all kinds of stuff, right? As you go through a little bit of water, And then, let's say the equivalent of coming out of, that great big mall over at, is it what, Evergreen and Ford Road, something like that. A little bit of water, and you come out onto Ford Road sideways, with both tires spinning because of a little bit of lubrication from the water. Then just as they dry out and kick in, the car just takes off. And that's exactly what it would do in the real world. Of course, I've only done that in the test track, but it's a lot of fun. It's a riot. So that was everything that I'd hoped it would be. So that's the differential story for the Mustang. Thank you very much for listening. This is part of the Help Give Me Money to Get the Mustang Back series, and this is part of the entertainment ones for car people. Thanks.